I think last night's game just solidified the Memphis Grizzlies as a top team in the Western Conference, and I think it just proved that they're not at all frauds. I mean, seeing them beat a healthy Phoenix Suns team while the Grizzlies had none of their starters except I believe Dillon Brooks. It even Tyus Jones, who some have said is the best backup point guard in the NBA right now. Seeing them not only win that game but be very dominant during it was definitely something to see. Now, as a Phoenix Suns fan, I'm not going to look at it from the perspective of a fan because obviously my team lost, even though I'm not even tripping about it for reasons that I will lightly touch on in this video. But I more want to look at this as a basketball analyst looking at the Grizzlies because they have one of the best teams in the NBA. The turnaround they've been able to make from going to a rebuild to now easily being a Western Conference contender is so crazy to me, and you gotta respect it. In today's video, I want to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and the performance they had last night because goddamn, that was something to watch. I also want to preview the possibility of this being a Western Conference Finals matchup because my prediction for the longest time has been either Suns and Warriors or Suns and Grizzlies. And for the past couple weeks, I've spoken very highly about the Grizzlies. As a matter of fact, this whole season, I've spoken very highly about them, saying they were underrated. And while that was true to an extent, now that we're late in the season and we've seen them be well for the whole year, I don't think they're underrated anymore. In fact, you have some people saying that they could be the best team in the NBA. Of course, before I get into the content, you guys can leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. I'm trying to hit 100k on this channel by the end of the year. Also, if you want to keep up with me or just want to talk about basketball, y'all should follow my Twitter. And the last thing I do want to say is thank you guys so much for the support lately. The videos have been going crazy, getting thousands of views at a time. Seeing the videos and the hard work paying off is a blessing, and I just want to thank you guys so much. Now, with all that being said, run that intro.
This is why I jump off the porch and I'm willing to bet everything that I have on the Memphis Grizzlies because they have the personnel.
As much as I hate doing this, I gotta give credit where credit is due. I don't like NBA media, you guys know that. I made a whole documentary about it. However, Kendrick Perkins has been on the Memphis Grizzlies bandwagon the entire season and has been saying that he thinks this is the best team in the NBA. And whether you think it's the Phoenix Suns or the Warriors or somehow I had a couple people telling me the Lakers, we can all agree Memphis is a top team. I think we can all agree that Memphis should be considered a contender. For maybe the first month to month and a half of the season, I kind of wrote them off as just a team that started out really hot, but I didn't think they were going to actually be anything special. However, after seeing Ja Morant start to play like an MVP candidate and just seeing everything about this team and them being fun to watch, I gotta admit, I've been high on the Grizzlies lately. Now, I am a Phoenix Suns fan, however, I am also an NBA fan. I like good, hard, tough basketball. I like teams that talk shit. I like to see good basketball at the end of the day, and that's why I love covering the sport. And the Memphis Grizzlies make my job so much fun when I get to cover a team like this because, again, they're a special team to watch. And I know everyone's been throwing this in your face when we talk about the Grizzlies game last night, and they're saying, oh, they didn't have 4 starters playing, and that's something that we need to address. I mean, they didn't even have Tyus Jones, who I said in the intro of the video has been considered to be the best backup point guard in the NBA. I'm not gonna lie, seeing a starting lineup of Kyle Anderson, Xavier Tillman, D'Anthony Melton, Zaire Williams, and Dillon Brooks is not something that I thought I'd ever see. However, it worked out for them last night and they played well. And at the beginning of the game, it seemed like Memphis was just gonna dominate Phoenix the entire time. They started off on a 10-1 run. In the first quarter, Memphis would be up 34-23, and it just looked like they were gonna keep building off that lead. However, in the second quarter, the game would get very close and Memphis would only be up by 4. In the third quarter, the game got even closer as Memphis was up 84-83 heading into the fourth. And then with around 8 to 9 minutes left in the game, Memphis would just go on a run and it didn't seem like Phoenix had any chance of stopping them. Dillon Brooks was definitely a big reason why Memphis won, as he had 30 and 7 on high efficiency. Now, while I've talked about Phoenix having the best bench in the NBA, and I'm gonna stand by this even though the Memphis second string team basically beat a healthy Phoenix Suns team, but I will say that they're one of the most versatile benches in the NBA and they have a lot of guys that we don't necessarily talk about. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant are currently 20-2, and there's this stupid narrative that started to go around that, oh, Ja Morant is stopping the Memphis Grizzlies from being successful, which you guys should obviously know isn't the case because when you have a 22 game sample size, that's so much different compared to the rest of the games this year. So obviously, I don't think Ja Morant is the reason why this team has been winning a lot of games and saying that he's a negative to this team. In fact, I think this should honestly show why Memphis is one of the best teams in the NBA. Before last night's game, Phoenix Phoenix was on a 9-game win streak, and now that that's ended, the Memphis Grizzlies have the highest win streak in the NBA right now with 7 games. When it comes to the postseason, I think one of the most important things is getting hot at the right time, because if you've been cold all season and you're just mid, and then when it comes to playoff time, you go on a really crazy streak, you could possibly go to the NBA Finals or go on a deep run in the playoffs. Memphis has been consistent and good, and that's important. You need to be consistent in this league. However, we don't have that many games left. In fact, we have 10 days until the play-in. Holy shit, time is flying by. But seriously, this whole season, Memphis has been a consistently good team. And if Memphis can go on a 10-game win streak, maybe lose like 1 game and then win their final game, that is the perfect situation you want to be in right before the playoffs. As a matter of fact, why not try to win out the rest of the season? When it comes to the standings, if the season were to end today and the play-in spots didn't change anything, then the Memphis Grizzlies would be taking on the Timberwolves. I think Minnesota is a good team and they've gotten hot during the season. However, I gotta say, I think Memphis is better by a long shot. Now, I've been talking predominantly about the Phoenix Suns on this channel, and something that I love to bring up is the gap between first and second. However, what I didn't mention was the gap between second and third. The Memphis Grizzlies have a gap just as big as the Phoenix Suns. I mean, Memphis currently is 7 games above the Golden State Warriors, and Phoenix has a gap between the Grizzlies about 7.5 games. So I think the 2 best teams in the Western Conference right now are kind of on their own little circle filled with domination, pride, and successfulness. I mean, let's also look at the Suns and Grizzlies too. You could honestly compare when it comes to these teams. 5 years ago, these were 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. Ironically, Phoenix was the worst team in basketball, and now they have the best record in basketball. And as Memphis had the second worst, they're now the second best. It's honestly interesting to see what a rebuild can do and what just one player can make an impact on. People have also said that, oh, the Phoenix Suns and Grizzlies are not humble teams and they're loud and in your face. What I love about Memphis and Phoenix is they're gonna talk shit to you when they win. That's the type of basketball I love, when you're shit talking but you can back it up. What are we gonna say about Phoenix and Memphis? They're the 2 best teams in basketball right now, and if they're gonna talk shit, they have full right to right now. These 2 teams are also young, and while the Suns do have some veterans, the majority of their team is pretty young. If we're not counting last year's finals, the Phoenix Suns have little to no experience on their team, just like Memphis, who has little to no experience in big time moments. However, I am fully confident that the Suns and Grizzlies are gonna make it to the Western Conference Finals, and we're gonna see a matchup for the ages. Last year, we had an NBA Finals that we didn't expect, and while we talk about injuries, I think we need to mention something else. I think last year's Finals was the start of these younger players and teams and the new generation winning and being successful when it comes to the playoffs. We can't say, oh, they're young and they don't have that experience, because this is a turning point, and I believe the Grizzlies and Suns are gonna be the best representation of that. If Memphis makes the NBA Finals over the Suns, we're gonna look at the turnaround they had. We're gonna see, wow, this team might be young, but they have potential to go all the way. Ja Morant is a killer. Dylan Brooks is feisty on defense. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a defensive player of the year candidate. Having guys like Tyus Jones, Xavier Tillman, Zaire Williams on the bench is something that they need. I think Memphis is showing us right now why they're one of the best teams in basketball, and although I don't like Kendrick Perkins and I think he's a dumbass, I gotta agree with them on this one. Memphis is here to stay, and they're one of the best teams in basketball. I wouldn't doubt these cats. They're talented, and we're just gonna have to wait until the NBA playoffs in 10 days to see what happens.